Tell me unmuted. Still waiting for my lawyer.
Good morning. Committee on Parole is called to order. Today is it's 8:58 a.m. on Thursday, May 24. My name is Cheryl Renitza, serving as chair for today's parole. My colleagues on the panel seated to my left is Mr. Danny Bach, to my right is Mr. Chuck Tillis. We are at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. If staff here would please introduce yourself to the record.
Whitney Trucks.
Sure, thank you.
Francis Abbott.
Our first remote location this morning is at Union Parish Detention Center, and we have before us Mr. Gibson. Good morning, Mr. Gibson. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Would you introduce yourself, tell us your name and your DOC number, please?
Antonio Gibson, 743 749430.
Yes, 49430.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have an officer there in the room with you. Officer, would you please introduce yourself for the record, sir?
Introduce yourself.
Sergeant Nation.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Nation, for accommodating us this morning. Mr. Gibson, I also see you're represented by counsel this morning. Counsel, would you introduce yourself for the record, please?
I'm Devin Jones. I'm the attorney for Mr. Gibson.
Right, thank you, counsel. We also have Shania McGee and Johannes Dixon, who are both here in support and will be speaking at the appropriate time. Mr. Gibson, the way this will go, I will read the allegation against you, and you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. We'll have a conversation about it. We'll hear from your witnesses who want to speak, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Jones for his presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
You ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones, if at any time you need to jump in, feel free to do so.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Gibson, we're here for a revocation decision because you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 4, and it reads, well, on March 27, 2024, you were arrested by the Parish Sheriff's Office for domestic abuse battery with child endangerment. On April 12, 2024, that charge was dismissed. However, how do you plead to violating condition number 4 of your parole conditions?
Not guilty.
And so your case has been assigned to me, Mr. Gibson, so I'm going to take the lead on the interview this morning. So you were detained, that was March 27, 2024. So you've been in jail since then.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell us what happened that caused you to be in jail in the first place. Why were you arrested?
A traffic violation. They had pulled me over.
And so, why were you arrested for domestic abuse battery?
March 2023, my kid's mother had asked me to watch the kids while she go out of town for a party, and I volunteered into that. And when she came back, it looked like she had been into altercation, but I started asking her. She had got overexcited with me. We got into an argument, and then I just left. My sister told me that she had called the police. I reported to my parole officer immediately. And then, I still reported to my parole officer. I still kept making my payments. And I never even knew I had a warrant.
So let me get to the report. When did the incident occur? Alleged incident, I should say.
Sometime in March.
I believe it was March of 2023.
March 13, 2023. And when did you report to your parole officer? You reported, or you didn't know, you say you didn't know you had a warrant for your arrest.
Yeah, but I still told him about the incident. I still told him what happened because my sister told me she called that my kid's mother had called the police. So I told him about it, and I told him to look into it for me, but he never got back with me on it because I guess he didn't see no warrant either. So I just kept reporting, kept paying him.
So you advised him shortly after the incident happened, you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see if I see it. I don't see that in his notes. Amen. Yeah, I don't see that in the officer's notes. Your office was Henson. Mr. Henson was your officer?
Yes, ma'am.
So what we have was that this is the information we have. I'm just going to share it with you. You at the time, it was Miss McGee, your living girlfriend. She kicked you out and you got angry. Both of children, and I think that's both of your children, ages 5 and 7, were present. The allegation is that you struck her multiple times. There was one of the children who gave testimony to police that confirms you struck her several times. Why would the child say?
I really can't tell you, but I know We never put our hands on each other, period.
Right,
I don't
and you
even-
said after she had gone to the party and came back, you noticed marks on her? Like something had happened
Yes,
to
man.
her?
Her shirt was ripped up, her hair was over her head. I was asking her about it. She got overexcited with me. I just kept asking her about it.
Okay, let me ask for the testimony of both of those people present, and then we'll see if we have, what other questions we have. Ms. McGee, we'd like to hear from you first.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, what information would you like us to know?
I was out all night at a party. Excuse me. He did keep my kids and other stuff went on before I made it home or whatever. We was just like in an argument or whatever. My kids was in the living room and my daughter, like she's very dramatic, so she really don't know what's going on. She just hearing me talk, so she's just going off what I'm saying.
She's
So
going
my
off of
kids was
what you're saying? She said-
she's going off what I'm saying because I'm talking to myself with other people, but my kids were never in the room while we were arguing. We never had no physical altercation or whatever. It's just, yeah,
Why did you call the police?
because I want him to leave.
So you're saying he refused to leave?
Yeah, at the time. By the time the police came, he was gone.
Anything else?
Ma'am?
Anything else you want us to know?
Oh, no.
All right, well, thank you for being here this morning. Mr. Barra has a question for you.
You did tell the police that he had punched you in the chest and tore your shirt, correct?
I'm not sure. I don't really too much remember.
Okay, and then
But I know we never had no altercation. I had a fight with some friends before I made it home. It was just a lot going on. I did tell a lie to the police, but I didn't know it was gonna go this far.
so you're saying your daughter or whoever the 7-year-old was never saw any of this happening. You told
No.
them what your version was and she just repeated it. Is that how it went? How did she, because she told the police that she saw him hitting you. And I'm just wondering where the 7-year-old comes up with a story like that. And you said you told her or she overheard you or something like that.
No, I said she's overhearing a conversation.
What? Man, I was talking over you. I didn't hear you.
She's overhearing a conversation. She's hearing bits and pieces. But at the same time, she's very dramatic and they don't know what's going on.
And the conversation she's overhearing is you telling it to the police or you, who else was there?
No. She's overhearing the conversation with me and someone else.
All right. That's all I have.
So there was someone else in the home?
No.
So you were talking to somebody on the phone or something?
Right.
All right, thank you. Ms. Dixon, could we hear from you, please?
Hello, I'm Antonio's girlfriend. My name is Honesty. Basically, I just wanted to say I've been with Antonio for going on a year now. Shania, she's a great mother. Antonio, he's a great father. They're great co-parents. Shania does work a lot, so when she needs help, she calls Antonio, and he's always there for her. That's what I've noticed so far. I haven't seen any drama or bitterness between any of them. So when I found out this news, it came to a shock to me because I would have never seen or thought Tonio would ever do something like that to Shania or to me. because I would put myself in Shania's shoes. And that's just all I have to say about the situation. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for speaking with us this morning. Are there any more questions of Mr. Gibson?
Yeah.
Mr. Barrow?
Mr. Gibson, if we were to release you, where do you plan on living and with who?
My sister.
Your sister?
In the form of it, yes, sir.
All right.
All right, Mr. We'd like to hear from your attorney, Mr. Jones. What can you offer, please?
Thank you. And excuse everything. I'm 2 hours behind you, so it's actually 7:10 my time. I had a vacation planned and they scheduled this meeting. So excuse everything, but I'm sitting in my condo room in Vegas. That said, I've spoke with all these parties and I was a prosecutor for a long time. I know Mr. Henson. I talked with Mr. Henson regarding this. He said, he did tell me, he said, look, he did tell me that they had gotten into it. And I told him, look, if they issue anything, you need to let me know. And Brian said, yeah, you know, I was aware of it, but nothing ever came. I said, okay. So I talked with Johannesty. I talked with Shania. I said, tell me what went on. There was an affidavit that we actually submitted electronically that I had Shania fill out, that she came into the office and said, tell me what went on. And it basically, here's what went from what I was able to get from them this instant. And I get why some people are apprehensive to say, hey, I may not have told the truth to the cops, because doing it here probably has less likelihood of some blowback. Doing it in state court is going to have a problem. But the basic issue was that Shania had gone to a concert, stayed out all night. When she came back, she was, well, semi-intoxicated, and that's what she stated, that she'd been into it with somebody. She went to a concert. She was still intoxicated. When she got back, her and Antonio got into it because of the way she looked in her intoxicated state. He didn't want to leave the kids with her. She said, you need to leave. He said, I don't want to leave my kids with you. She said, no, you have to go. Well, when she picked up the phone and called the cops, he knows he's on parole. He got out of Dodge real quick. That's a guaranteed way to make somebody leave who's on parole, is to say you're calling the cops. So he left. What she said to the police from there, I can probably fill in the gaps with the affidavit. We emailed it down probably 10 days ago. I can provide a copy now if there's an address to provide a copy to. If it's not there, that she signed a notarized affidavit that really provides clarity to the situation. And since that point forward, Shania, Antonio, and Johannesty have just basically worked together as co-parents. And when they came into my office, I said, tell me what went on, because I was a domestic violence prosecutor. I worked for Jerry Jones, who put the actual domestic abuse battery law on the books. I think 3 of the amendments I helped author through Bob Kostelka. I'm kind of passionate about it. I don't tend to represent people who commit it. It's just hard to shed my prosecutor days from it. But that said, it was really reasonable to understand really what the story was. I get it. She came home still intoxicated, has been in a fight. He's got a lot of questions leaving his small kids there. She gets upset, gets out of my house. And from that point forward, nobody ever thought anything happened. She knew the cops came. He knew the cops had came. He reported it to Mr. Henson, who, as I understand now, has not made notes about it, but confirmed it with me. And then they thought they went on down by the wayside till he gets a traffic stop. And once it got to the prosecutor's office, before even an arraignment, they dismissed it. It's one of those situations where I understand that a conviction is what required in parole. Parole is a much lower standard. You can't be involved in criminal activity. I just think in this instance, this is one of those instances where I don't believe there was criminal activity that he was involved in. I believe it takes somebody getting in there like I had to do and talk to all these parties and say, hey, I'm not the police. I'm not going to put you in jail. Just tell me what really happened. And I think that's what you got today. And I think you got it today from Shania when she said, look, I didn't tell the truth to the cops. But I think where we're at is I don't think this is the point where somebody needs to be revoked. Maybe putting yourself in a situation like that gets you sanctioned, but not revoked.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Gibson, anything you want to say to us before we vote?
No, ma'am.
All right, I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Gibson, you know, like Mr. Jones says, domestic issues are kind of one of my pet peeves. But based on the testimony I've heard today, my vote today will be to do not revoke, return you to supervision. We will issue a reprimand, though. And I hope that you do well on supervision, Mr. Bonner.
I'm gonna go ahead and concur with Ms. Renatza, but add a special condition that you take the anger management class, and also that you have no unsupervised visits with Shania. If you're gonna meet with her, you need to have another adult present, and this is to protect you from her deciding that, you know, it's time for you to go to jail or be out the life. So if you're gonna meet with her to do kid swaps and things like that, you need to bring somebody with you every time. And complete the anger management, and I'm good with a reprimand and release.
Mr. Tilley?
I concur with my colleagues.
All right, Mr. Gibson, there you go. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
y'all.
Mr. Jones. Thanks, everybody who testified today. We're going to sign off,
Appreciate it.
Parish. It is 9:16.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I go home.
Totally.
I can talk.
Totally, it's not cool.
Where do I talk at? You stop on.
Good morning. The Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're now at Washita Parish Correctional Center. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. Seated to my left is Mr. Danny Byron. To my right is Mr. Chucky Tillis. I'd like the staff at Washita to please introduce themselves for the record.
Good morning, Mr. Renatza. It's David Marchand again.
All right, good. Thank you for accommodating us again this morning. We have before us Mr. CRAIN.
Yes, ma'am.
To introduce yourself, tell us your name and DOC number.
Billy Crane, 624-912.
All right. We also have joining us this morning by here with us in headquarters is Mr. Butch Wilson, representing the 22nd Judicial District Attorney's Office. He'll be speaking at the appropriate time. We'll call on him to do so. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Mr. CRAIN, I'm going to read the allegation. I'm going to read some information into the record. I'm going to ask you to confirm that information, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Barra, seated to my left. Your case has been assigned to him. He'll take the lead on the parole interview.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Billy Crane, you're classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 12-year sentence. You were sentenced May 12th, 2014. I have two separate dockets for forcible rape. You received a 12-year sentence on each of those, running concurrently because your total sentence is 12 years. Your parole eligibility date was set at September 3rd, 2023. You're not eligible to earn good time, and your full term date is June 24, 2025. Does all that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Would you answer Mr. Barra, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Crane, looking at these two crimes, although they were separate and apart, they have a lot of similarities. And I was just wondering, what were you thinking at the time of these crimes? What was the problem? Something not right, huh?
Yes, sir. I was young and wild. I mean, I did what I did, and I mean, I feel very sorry for doing it. I mean, I messed up. I mean, and I hate to say it like this, being down this long has really taught me that you can't make mistakes like that. I mean, it's bad, and the way that people looks at you and stuff like that. I mean, there's no way that I should have done that.
Were you on drugs or anything?
Yes, sir. I drank a lot, and I did some X pills and stuff back in my younger days.
At the time of these offenses?
The last one, yes, sir, I was.
You think you got a problem?
Sir, I had a problem, and when I did that sex offender course for that year and a half, it really showed me that the way to what's the word I'm looking for? The way to help myself when it comes down to if I get an urge or whatever to not do it again.
Tell me a little something why we're trying to convince the board why we should vote to release you with those kind of crimes and pass.
Yes, sir. Well,
And why you think we should be considering to release you, because some pretty serious stuff you did.
yes, sir. Well, I really helped myself, like I said, in these last 11 years. As you know, as far as a sex offender, you can't earn good time. So most of the places you go are not going to put you in any class anyway. But every place that I've been, I tried my hardest to get in anything that helps. Like I said, I did the sex offender program. I finished it. I did anger management. I did a little substance abuse. I've done, I got my high set. I got a better education just so I can better myself. So if I do go home or when I go home, I'll be able to be a better person in society. I mean, I've done everything that I've done to help myself, to help the people around me.
If you could talk to those victims, what would you tell them? That they all still suffering with issues. What would you tell them today?
I would tell them I'm sorry. I mean, I messed up, and I know that I can't take back what I done, but I do what I could to help them go forward. I mean, I know that I hurt them, but the way that, you know, it made me feel after I look back at the situation, I'm like, that ain't something that a person should do to anybody. I mean, I got kids and I know I wouldn't want, you know, my daughter to go through what they went through.
Gotcha. All right, that's all the questions I have. I just need to note though that there's very strong law enforcement opposition for this. The judge is opposed, the DA is opposed, the sheriff's opposed, and one of the victims is strongly opposed. So that's all the questions I have. We can.
Mr. CRAIN, so you acknowledge your guilt?
Yes, ma'am.
In your application for parole, you include a copy of your post-conviction relief.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the basis for your, what relief? What is the basis for that?
Well, I tried to, cause the lawyer that I had, I told him some questions and told him and asked him about, you know, things that I was going through, and like the evidence that was showing that I was trying to get less time, because I don't know the word, man, it's hard to understand, but, and I was telling them that, man, what's the word I'm looking for, that I could have got less time, because when he told me about it, when I first got locked up, like three and a half months later, he said, Billy, they only offering you like 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, well, do you think I should take it? And he's like, no, if they only offer you that less of a time, sit in there a little while, maybe we can get down to 3 or 4, you know. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. And then the farther it progressed, the time went up. And I'm like, well, you told me to wait. And I was like, well, and then he came back, like, I think I did 11 and a half months before I finally took the 12 years and stuff like that. And I was like, well, you told me that they was 6 years. Is it still on the table? He's like, it was never 6 years on the table. I said, what? You told me.
I understand. So you're trying to cut your time. What do you think is a fair amount of time for what you did?
To be honest with you, the 12 years, and this is not everybody that's been in prison for whatever, but like I said, these last 6 years that I've been down, as far as like, you know, rehabilitating myself and finding the help from these programs that I took, has really helped me to get it. And I understood if I was only down for 3 or 4 years, I wouldn't have been the man I am now because of what I've done to help myself.
Glad to hear you say that. I don't have any other questions. Any questions?
How long you served since you've been there? How many years have you been in?
10 years and 11 months.
Years, 11 months. And you knew the last victim was a juvenile?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
She was a friend to my cousin, which was, I think he was 16 or 17, and I think she was 15 or something like that.
And you feel like you've learned your lesson?
Yes, sir. I have really put myself in a position to where I could help myself, because I'm sorry, sir, but the man on the right said that this is some serious stuff, and if I got a problem, you need help, you can't go back in society. And for me being that, there's no way that when I go home that I would ever put myself in a predicament like, because like I said, I haven't seen my kids in 11 years. I mean, and it hurt me because they going back and like, where's daddy at? Where's daddy at? And I don't see how you could put yourself in that position unless you do have a problem. I mean, and I'm not putting myself back in that position to even think about it again.
Are you married?
No, sir. I was very close, but I didn't get married.
Okay. No questions.
Okay. Let me ask Deputy Marchand, is there anything you can tell us about Mr. CRAIN?
He's only been here with us since March of this year, with no incidents or anything here, but we really don't have anything to comment. He hasn't been here long enough to really get to know him yet.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, Mr. Crane, we're gonna hear from the DA's office at this time. Mr. Wilson?
Should I approach the podium?
Yes, please, so we can put the camera on you. Thank you.
And just to introduce myself a little more formally, my name is Butch Wilson. I'm the Assistant District Attorney with the 22nd Judicial District Court, which encompasses 10 parishes. Thank you for allowing us to be here today. Just to get something out of the way to begin with, this man received an incredibly lenient sentence. Based on what he did to that 14-year-old girl, he has gotten his break from the system. He has gotten more than a break. In my opinion, he should have been life out of that charge. That should have been an aggravated rape conviction. But he's gotten his break. It is what it is. He's here today. This is a sexual predator. This is sexually predatory behavior. There is a record of it. If you read this packet, he dragged that 14-year-old girl off into the woods. We can never, ever, ever trust him. He is going to be on the street at some point. We know that. His full term date is in another year or so. So he's going to be out there. And he is going to be exactly the sort of person that we have to be ultra aware of because of this behavior. We don't trust him. And we never, ever will because of his past. I appreciate the fact that he says that he feels bad for the victims. And I'm not here to doubt what he feels. I'm just saying that, you know, he referred to his sex offender plans. He was talking about urges, which begs the question of whether or not he still has them. Whether he needs this training in case those urges come up again. When he's back out on the street, we're going to have to deal with those urges again. And we think that in all fairness, considering the facts of these crimes and the sentence he received, he should have to serve every single minute of it. Every minute of it. This post-conviction hearing he was talking about where he brought up with Kevin Linder. I've known Kevin a long time. I find it hard to believe that he told me he was going to get 3 years out of this. Because there is no way that the district attorney's office would have stood mute if that sentence would ever have been floated on the record. Those post-conviction allegations went back before Judge BAYOU, and they were heard. There were full-blown evidentiary hearings, and they were denied. He rejected them. So that, once again, is a moot point. We strongly urge you to read the statement of the victim who submitted one. I'm sure y'all are all aware of the facts of this case. This is not the sort of person that we come to pray to. I don't know, nor does the district. I spoke specifically with Mr. Sims about this case 2 days ago. And he urged me to be here and to strongly oppose any sort of parole consideration for this particular thing. If y'all have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions? No. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate you being here. Thank you for being here. All right, Mr. Crane, is there a statement you'd like to make to the panel before we vote?
No, ma'am. I mean, I've done everything I could to help myself. And like I said, I've done almost 11 years off of the 12. I've got everything that I've done and everything that I was told to do. I mean, that's all I can do about it.
Okay. All right, sir. I think we are prepared to vote. Mr. Barrow?
So, Mr. Crane, I gotta tell you, I agree with the district attorney. Your sentence was light to begin with. Although I do need to commend you. I was looking at your record of the stuff you did do in jail, 22 classes. Good work on that. Good work on trying to rehabilitate yourself. However, I vote to deny based on the seriousness of your crime and that they're two separate victims. One of them was a juvenile, the strong law enforcement opposition, and considering the length of the sentence that you got, I've seen people get 50 years more and more for this kind of charge. So I'm gonna have to vote to deny your parole.
Mr. Tillis?
My vote is to deny.
All right, Mr. Crane, I too want to commend you on the work. I know you even got some college credits under your belt, so that's good. And all that's going to serve you well whenever you are released. I do concur with my colleagues. based on the opposition we heard from this morning, and the proximity of your full term date, my vote today is to deny your parole. Wish you well. Good luck, sir. That concludes our business in Washington. We're going to sign off at 9:40. All right, good morning. Committee on Parole, we are reconvening at BAYOU DORCHEAT Correctional Center. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel this morning, seated to my left is Mr. Danny Barra, to my right, Mr. Chucky Tillis. Would the staff there at BAYOU DORCHEAT please introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Major Culpepper.
And I'm Jason Johnson. I supervise the sex offender treatment unit and Steve Hoyle intensive substance abuse program.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both for accommodating us this morning. And we have before us Mr. CHEXNAYDER. Is that you, Mr. CHEXNAYDER?
Yes, ma'am.
Morning. Would you introduce yourself to the please? Tell us your name, DOC number.
My name is Alex CHEXNAYDER. My DOC number is 766163.
Yes, sir. Mr. CHEXNAYDER, we have joining us this morning here in Baton Rouge, we have Mr. Butch Wilson representing the 22nd Judicial District Attorney's Office. He'll be speaking at the appropriate time. First, I'll read some identifying information into the record. I'm going to ask you to verify that information. Then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tillis, seated to my right. Your case has been assigned to him. He'll take the lead on the interview. Okay, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Alex CHEXNAYDER, you're classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 3-year sentence. You were sentenced in St. Tammany on January 19, 2022, carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Your parole eligibility date has passed. It was April 16, 2024. You're not eligible to earn good time, and your full term date is January 16, 2025. Is all that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you answer Mr. Tillis's questions, please?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good.
All right. I've read your case. I've gone through it. How long did you work at Chuck E.
Cheese? Yeah.
Yes.
I worked there for like 3 years as a manager.
As a manager?
Yes, sir.
And tell me your side of the story. What happened?
So I was working there, and I was known as like the cool manager or whatever. So a lot of people liked to be on my shift and stuff. And there was a few girls that would flirt with me here and there. And I kind of just fed into it, really. And I really shouldn't have. And I realize that now. Always separate business from pleasure. So kind
of that's pretty good. Separate business from pleasure. Did you realize those girls were juveniles?
So the way it was set up for where I worked at, we weren't allowed to ask them their age because they had like this thing where it was like talking about like age, some type of like age discrimination or something. So we knew that they weren't 18, but because we had to give them breaks, like certain minor breaks. So I thought she was 17 personally.
Okay. You were the manager, right?
I was one of the managers. Yes, sir.
So I read somewhere in your file that a young lady was cleaning the bathroom and you were in with her. I mean, so that wasn't a good thing to do, was it?
I realize that now, but it was a pretty regular thing. If I'm closing the store, I would put together the money and everything, make sure the money's all right. And then I would go and check on everybody, make sure everybody's doing what they need to do. I would go in there, make sure she's, everything's all right, stuff like that.
Okay. So did a lot of these young ladies come on to you?
There was a few.
There were a few. I see. Okay. What have you done with your spare time while you were incarcerated?
While I was at St. Tammany, I did pre-release and a class called Smart Money. It was really hard for me to get in a lot of good time classes because I don't earn good time. So a lot of jails didn't feel the need to put me in them. Not only that, a lot of the places I've been to, my time was I had still a lot of time left, so they wouldn't put me in some classes. But when I went to Union Parish, I was a trustee there. And then once they shipped me here, then they put me in the sex offender treatment program. I've already completed empathy and awareness, and I've completed anger management.
I have no more questions. What have you learned from this whole experience?
I learned that life's too short, and you got to actually think before you just act on certain situations. I definitely realized what I did was wrong, and I hope for another chance.
Right. You realize that no matter what happens here today, you're going to be getting out on January.
Yes, sir.
And do you realize that you got an extremely short sentence for the crime that you did? You got a gift already.
Yes,
you realize?
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right. If we were to release you, where you plan on living?
Lafayette, Louisiana.
With who?
My grandmother.
All the questions I have.
Mr. Johnson, can you tell us a bit about Mr. CHEXNAYDER, please?
Yes, ma'am. He is currently in the sex offender program, set to graduate at the end of this July. I would remind the board that when you look in the system, it appears that he's only doing 2 phases of sex offender treatment, of which there are 4, but he is doing all 4 and is completing the last phase in July. The 2 classes he mentioned already, empathy and awareness and anger management, are part of the program. They're just done at this point. He is not in any substance abuse classes. We did not identify that as an issue for him, and I have no negative things to report.
Good, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Mr. CHEXNAYDER, at this time, we're going to hear from the DA's office, Mr. Wilson.
Once again, Butch Wilson on behalf of the 22nd JCPA. Just at the beginning, I want to address this issue because it got brought out a minute ago about his knowledge or his subjective view of the age of the victim, which, as we know, in the state of Louisiana is no defense. There is no defense. He's bringing up something here about age discrimination. We're talking about having sex with someone you know is a teenager. So in other words, you can't throw up some federal age discrimination law as a reason why you can't find out how old this girl is before you have sex with her. That's on him. He was the adult in the room. He had supervision over people, girls he knew were teenagers. I don't care if they find them attractive or not, they're coming on to him or not. He's the supervisor, he's the adult. He has to act with discretion, and he did not. And I agree with you, sir, that this was a short sentence. This was very lenient. And I believe that having considered that, and if you read the victim did not show up today. However, we did receive a letter from Chuck Romero. He spoke with her mother. She's still experiencing difficulty from this situation. I don't think there is any unfairness at all for this man to serve his full term, which was short enough. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. All right, Mr. CHEXNAYDER, is there a statement you'd like to make to us before we vote?
I'm just ready to go home and see my family and be a productive member of society.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we are ready to vote. Mr. Tillis?
My vote is to deny.
Okay, Mr. Barra?
My vote is also to deny.
Mr. CHEXNAYDER, my vote is to deny based on the opposition we've heard today, the fact that you still have some work to do in the sex offender treatment program, and quite frankly, the proximity of your release date. So, you know, apply yourself in the class, get all the tools you can so that you don't get in this kind of trouble again.
Yes, ma'am.
But today, your parole's been denied.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We're going to sign off at we'll be ready for the next one.
Okay. Can you sit somewhere for a second, or you get to go back?
All right, Mr. Hollowell, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Would you introduce yourself to the parole panel? Tell us your name and DOC number, please, sir.
My name is Todd Franklin Hollowell, and my DOC number is 402337.
Okay, let me introduce your parole panel to you. My name is Cheryl Renatz. This is Mr. Danny Byrock to my left, Mr. Chucky Tillis to my right. I'm going to read some identifying information. Mr. Hollowell, I ask you to verify that information. And then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Byron. Your case has been assigned to him.
Okay.
So he'll take the lead on the interview.
Thank
you. Mr. Let's see, Todd Hollowell, you're classified as an 8th felony offender. You're currently serving a sentence that is 10 years, 11 months, and 1 day. In CADDO Parish, you were sentenced, you have various sentencing dates, so I'm just going to read them, and they're all for simple burglary. You were sentenced April of 2006. You received a 12-year sentence. April 2002. You received a 12-year sentence. December 2011, 9-year sentence, excuse me. June 2016, 4 years. August 2016, 12 years. August of 2022, 8 years. So as I said, that all that's running together, 10 years, 11 months, and 1 day.
Yes,
parole eligibility date was December 11th, 2023. Your good time date is February 9, 2026. Is that information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you answer any questions Mr. Byron may have?
Sure.
Mr. Hollowell, I see that you're an 8th felony offender.
Unfortunately.
Your rap sheet is extremely large. you're an alcoholic, a meth addict with a record, like I said, that's extremely large. You
Yes.
had many periods of supervision already that turned out unsuccessful. And I just ask you to tell me, why should the board release you again today? In this case, you have 11 victims. Why would we think that it'd be a good idea to release somebody like you today? Can you tell me that?
I would like to think that I have made a significant change during this incarceration. I don't really have a reason, because in the past I've said these reasons and they never panned out. I just feel like I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I've had enough. I can't sit here and make promises, because obviously in the past I hadn't been able to keep them. All I can tell you is I am sick and tired, and I'm trying to do something different with my life.
All right. Well, I just wanted to go on the record and let you know that all the law enforcement people are opposed and know you. 4 judges are opposed, the DA is opposed, the sheriff's opposed, the chief of police is opposed, and the CADDO Parish District Attorney's Office wrote a letter saying they oppose parole for defendant Todd Hollowell. Hollowell's extensive criminal history demonstrates he has no intent in rehabilitation and poses a continuing threat to our community, especially personal property. Hollowell is a career criminal, and our office believes he will reoffend if released on parole. We oppose. So there's a lot of people out there who are opposed to us granting you parole based on, well, what you know about the 8th offender and the serious record.
Yes, sir.
That's all I had to say.
Mr. Hollowell, how old are you?
I'm 45.
And why don't you say you're sick and tired, and you've had these same reasons that you stated before, but you've not been successful. Why do you think that is?
I think I give up too easy. I think I turn and try to heal my problems in the easiest and the fastest way, which in my past has been alcohol and drugs. And I justify reasons to maybe keep on trying to do it, and it never works. And this time I feel as if maybe something's changed. Like I said, these people that have denied me the parole, they have every right and reason to. I mean, I've given them nothing but reasons to say no. So I'm not upset about that. I mean, I'm just glad they read the paperwork. But all I can say is I just want to do something different this time.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. What are you enrolled in there?
I just completed the SHISHAP, the Steve Hull program. At CADDO Correctional Center, I took the Change the World program, anger management, the first phase of the power group, and living in balance. But it's not documented like in any kind of paperwork that I had. It was pre-trial. But I'm trying to learn as much as I can.
You had the best that we have to offer.
Yes, ma'am, I do agree.
So you got some tools in your toolbox. It's up to you to use them.
Yes, ma'am, I agree with you.
Any questions?
You guys, how long have you been incarcerated?
On this stint right here?
Oh, how long have you been incarcerated ever?
I can honestly say that I quit counting around 21 years.
21 years. And you say you keep doing the same thing over. Have you had any write-ups lately?
No, sir.
How long has it been since you had a write-up?
Probably
2018.
2018 or 19 maybe, where I lost some good time for an intoxication or a dirty year. It was one of the two. It may be both.
2019.
18.
And you feel that if given a chance, you would you change?
Yes, sir. And I'm willing to do anything that is suggested or recommended. Yes, sir.
I see. Any more questions?
Major Culpepper, can you add anything?
Since he's been here, we have not had no problems out of him at all. He did go through the Stephen Hall program and we haven't had no write-ups on him at all.
Good to hear. Mr. Johnson, you want to tell us about his programming?
It is correct that he recently graduated. We've had no problems with him in programming. And I'll point out that he left his job to join classes by request. We recognize that people like to do things the easy way. And so we do not let you have both a job and be in class at the same time. We make you give up something. And he requested that he be taken off his job to join class. And that's all I have.
Yeah, well, that's a big step. That's great. Good to hear. Is there anything, Mr. Hollowell, you'd like us to know before we vote?
Just know that whatever your decision is, there will be no ill or hard feelings, and I'll understand either way it goes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
I appreciate your honesty this morning. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
We are prepared to vote. Mr. Barra will be voting first.
I'm going to vote to deny your parole based on the criminal record and the strong law enforcement opposition, and hope that you continue to do the classes that it takes to get you straightened out, to one day be the guy you want to be and we want you to be.
Thank you for your time.
Good luck to you.
Yes, sir.
I concur with Mr. Barra.
And Mr. Hollowell, based on your record, this my vote also is to deny your parole. And I do know in the record, are you aware you have an out-of-state detainer?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay. All right. Keep doing what you're doing. I think maybe you're turning the corner. I hope so.
I do,
hope so.
ma'am.
Like Mr. Bauer said, we want you to be the man you want to be. So good luck to you, sir.
Thank y'all. Thank you for your time.
All right, we're ready for Mr. Reeve. Morning, sir. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
SCHANE REEVE, 550202.
Yes, sir. Mr. Reeve, my name is Cheryl Renatza. Seated to my left is Mr. Danny Byrod. To my right is Mr. Chucky Tillis. We're your parole panel today. I'm going to read some identifying information into the record, and I'm going to ask you to confirm it, and we'll have a parole interview with you. And then we'll hear from the folks there at the facility, see what they have to say about you. Mr. Reeve, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a 3-year, 6-month sentence for aggravated criminal damage to property. You were sentenced in Webster Parish initially in November of 2020. Looks like you had probation, but that was revoked on April 17, 2023. Your parole eligibility date is June 13, 2024. You don't earn good time. And you have a full-term date, March 13, 2026. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So your case has been assigned to me. I'll take the lead on the interview. So, Mr. Reeve, how old are you?
41.
And you, how much time have you served on this 3.5-year sentence?
A year and 7 months or 8 months, something like that. About half of it.
Over 1.5 years. And as I mentioned, you were afforded probation initially, and you were revoked. Why were you revoked?
Because I quit reporting.
Why?
I wrecked my truck and I ended up moving back to my mom's. And I just messed up. That was a mistake of mine.
Yeah, was there any substance use involved?
No, ma'am.
That wasn't the reason you quit reporting?
No, ma'am.
So it's just the wreck?
It was the wreck and the move, and I just...
You didn't feel like dealing with your parole officer?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So so you're in work release right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you work?
House of Rayford. That's in Arcadia, the chicken plant.
Chicken plant. Where you work, you were working before before you came to jail?
No, ma'am.
You were unemployed?
Yes, ma'am. I was working at the horse barns in Dorleen.
So what other kind of jobs have you held?
Oil field. I was drilling the oil field.
So you're working at the horse barns. Is that why were you no longer working in the oil fields?
That was before I went to jail the last time. The oil field got slow. I got laid off from the oil field.
Right.
I went to work for Max Foot Construction in Halton. And when I wrecked my truck, I didn't have a way back over there to Halton. So
is that what to your mother's?
Yeah, that's when I went back to my mom's. I got a house over there on my mom and dad's property, a double wide.
And that's near the horse barns?
Yes, ma'am. I could walk there.
Okay. All right. So tell us what happened initially, the aggravated criminal damage to property. What was that about?
I was trying to run somebody off from my house with a slingshot. And I shot the truck with the slingshot, the marbles.
That's Miss Clements?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. Well, what my record shows that she was trying to come get her belongings. Y'all were splitting up or whatever, and you wouldn't let her. And that's when you started shooting her with the slingshot.
We wasn't never together. We was friends. And when I went to jail, she moved herself into my house. And my mom and dad had to go to court and get her evicted out of the house because we didn't want her over there.
Y'all were just friends.
We was friends, yeah. But she was trying to steal my stuff. And then when I went to jail, she did actually steal a bunch of my stuff out of my house.
Well, what would you say if I said in the record there seems to be some evidence of a history of abuse by you?
I would agree.
Well, good. Thanks for being honest. I want you to know that there's opposition to an early release for you. The sentencing judge is opposed, the district attorney's office is opposed, law enforcement is opposed. And considering all of that and your failure on, I'll say failure, you were revoked, your probation was revoked. Why do you think we ought to give you another shot at early release?
I know I can be better. You know, I know I can complete the parole, and I know I can be a good man, a good father to my kids.
How many kids you got?
3.
Where do they live?
They're with my mom right now.
So they live with your mother. Yeah, I do say that your mother's, I see that your mother's taking care of your kids. So what is your transition plan?
Keep working at the chicken plant and just get everything back in order. Be with my kids and be a good dad.
So after release, you're going to continue your job where you currently are? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
When's the last time you spoke with your mother?
I haven't spoke with him since I went to jail. We had a bad storm and I tried to call, but the phones was down. So I think the storm knocked the phone lines out.
Right. So you've been in jail a year and a half and you hadn't talked to your mother?
13 months.
A little over a year. Okay. And you haven't spoken to your mother?
And I haven't spoken to nobody.
So where do you said you're going to keep your job there at Rayford. Where are you going to live?
I got a house right next to my mom's house. I got a double wide right there.
Yeah. I'm a little concerned. We do have some information about your family situation, which is a little concerning. There's a lot going on in your mom's life, and she can't afford to have any issues from you.
I know.
Mr. Major Culpepper, is there anything you can tell us?
No, he's been on work release for a while here, and he's doing real good. We haven't had no write-ups. I hadn't had no trouble out of him.
Good to hear. Mr. Johnson?
We have not identified any need for substance abuse treatment at this point. So.
Questions from my colleagues? Mr. Reeve, what would you like to say to us before we vote?
Thank y'all. God bless you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think we're ready to vote. Mr. Reeve? I'm concerned about your transition plan. It doesn't seem really solid to me yet. You have a history of violence. I think you're doing well where you're at. I think you need to firm up your transition plan. Based on the opposition that's been expressed today, your history of violence, my vote today is going to be to deny your parole. Mr. Barra?
I'm going to concur with Mr. Natsa for the same reasons.
Mr. Tillis?
I concur with my colleagues.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Reed, I really wish you'd try to reach your mother and try to mend that relationship. I think you have some work to do with that before you out of jail. But you're doing well at the House of Rayford. It seems like you're developing your plan. Haven't been any trouble at the facility. I think you're going to do well when you get out. Good luck to you, sir.
All right, thank you.
That concludes our business at BAYOU DORCHEAT. We're going to sign off at 10:26. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got all my questions.
All right.
Morning.
Good morning,
sir.
Joe. Hold on, I got to move him to another room because we have something else going on in this room.
Okay,
So
all right.
just a minute, stand by.
You gonna take us with you? The computer.
I'll take y'all with me, so hold
Okay.
on. Hogan. Crap. Have a seat right there. How is it? Can y'all see him? Hello?
Yes.
Can y'all see him?
Yes.
Yes, we can. We can. All right, good morning. The Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're at DeSoto Parish Detention Center. And I'd like the officer to introduce himself for the record. Is he still there with you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Sergeant Butler with the DeSoto Parish Sheriff's Department.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Butler, for accommodating us this morning.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Hogan, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
JAMERRICK HOGAN, 566-986.
And Mr. Hogan, let me introduce the parole panel to you. My name is Cheryl Renatza. Seated to my left is Mr. Danny Byra, and to my right is Mr. Chucky Tillis. We have some folks that have joined us this morning by Zoom. They're both at the same location. One of your church members, Joyce, and your Douglas Claiborne, the employer with the VBA organization, and they both want to speak on your behalf. We'll allow them to do so at the appropriate time. You're familiar with this process because you've been before the parole board before, have you not?
No, man, I went in front of the parole board when I was serving time, but I didn't make the parole. I didn't never been on a violation.
Before the board?
No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let me, I'm going to read the allegations against you, and I'll ask you to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and then we'll have a conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
So the first allegation is that you violated condition number 2. It says you failed to report to your officer for the months September 23, August 23, July 23, June 23, April 23, March 23, February 23, December 22, November 22, September 22, and August 22. How do you plead to violating condition number 2?
Not guilty.
Then there's condition number 4. First, it says you failed to refrain from criminal activity as evidenced by your arrest September 20, 2023 for the offenses aggravated battery and simple battery by the Mansfield Police Department. On February 20, 2024, you appeared in the 42nd JDC where you pled guilty to the amended offense of criminal mischief 2 counts and were sentenced to serve 90 days in the parish jail for each count. How do you plead to violating that instance, condition number 4?
I'm not guilty.
Then we have another condition number 4, which says you also tested positive for methamphetamine, THC, and amphetamines on September 22nd, 2023. You tested positive for THC, cocaine, amphetamine, and methamphetamine on January 7, 2022. On January 7, 2021, you tested positive for methamphetamines, amphetamines, opiates, and ecstasy. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Guilty.
And that
Guilty.
guilty. Then there's condition number 8, which says on January 7, 2022, you were referred to CADDO for a substance abuse evaluation. You failed to provide proof of completing a substance abuse evaluation. How do you plead to violating number 8?
Not guilty.
Then lastly, there is condition number 10. You have current arrearages of $990 in supervision fees. You have not made a payment towards your supervision fees since May 11, 2023. So how do you plead to violating condition number 10?
Guilty.
Okay. So let's start at the top where so you failed to report for 7 months in 2023 and 4 months in 2022. You were released on good time in October of 2020. So tell us about your not guilty plea.
In 2023, I had talked to Miss Ashley. I was working for ASAP Alpha Service and Products. And we go out of town and we work, we do signs on the highway. And I told her, she told me to call in and I was calling, but most times I ain't getting no answer from her. Miss Ashley Fredo. I told her I had a job. She just told me to call in. I told her because we were working in Alexandria and we leave out on Mondays and we report the first Tuesday of the month. And she told me just call in. And like most of the time I ain't get an answer, but sometimes I talk to her. And then they switched it to a new guy. I don't even remember his name. He quit it. He don't even work for him no more.
When you called in or you did speak, I mean, did you get a voicemail?
Yeah, sometimes I get a voicemail and there's been times I got an answer. She just asked me, is I'm doing all right? Is everything the same address? And
right.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you did get the voicemail, did you leave a message?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I ain't leave.
Nobody answered?
No, ma'am.
No, what I said was you just hung up because nobody answered.
Yes, ma'am. I just hung up. Yes, ma'am.
That was 23. The same applies in the 2022 timeframe?
Oh, no, ma'am. It's
so
just like I ain't have a ride. I ain't have a stable vehicle at the time.
You pled guilty to violating condition number 4 when you pled guilty to the amended charge of criminal mischief, 2 counts.
Yes, ma'am. I had an affidavit where the girl told them that she lied, and reason why I took the criminal mischief because I was gonna go to trial. I thought it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have revoked my parole. I had an affidavit where she said she lied. She was on drugs. Then I ain't hit her. I ain't touch her. So they supposed to been sent the parole board the affidavit where she signed and her ID on it. Though my PO Patrick Relaford told me he sent it to y'all.
And then at that same time, I guess there's another one where you tested positive for the illegal drugs. You pled guilty to that.
Yes, ma'am.
So what about the proof of the substance abuse evaluation?
Oh, my son got shot at Miss Ashley was like, JAMERRICK, you going through a lot, so don't even worry about it. You ain't got to go. At the time, my oldest son, he got shot. And she told me,
saying your officer said you don't have to go to the substance.
No, she said just you going through a lot, JAMERRICK, don't even worry about it.
So in the record that we have, it appears in the incident where you were there was an assault, aggravated battery, simple battery that involved Miss Edwards and your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what happened?
Oh, well, my mom misplaced some jewelry and she thought I had it, but I mean, like, it was just a misunderstanding with the family, and my sister said I put my hand in her face like this. And
well, about the bat.
Oh, the bat? Oh, no, I ain't never hit her with a bat. I got an affidavit, ma'am, saying that I ain't have a weapon, I ain't touch her. She lied on me. They supposed to be sent the affidavit to the parole board, Mr. Patrick Relaford. That's who had the affidavit.
She lied to the police.
Yes, ma'am. She lied to the police. Reason why I cleared out the criminal mischief because I thought it wouldn't revoke my parole.
Somebody told you that?
Yes, ma'am. What I read on the law library say only a new felony conviction revoke your parole.
Yeah, well, no, it's not the way it works.
Yes, ma'am.
You've had previous violations in February of 2021 is you were reprimanded, and that's where we added to get the substance abuse evaluation and follow your treatment plan. You received another reprimand in May of 22 where you weren't revoked, but you were continued on supervision. So considering your history, why do you think we should not revoke your parole today?
Oh man, I think like I got kids and I want a chance, man. Like please, like I can do better. Like I am gonna do better, and I want to prove point. I don't want to like put nobody for my mistakes I made. I'm not saying I'm not wrong. I don't want, I want to take responsibility of a man, but I got 7 kids with a younger daughter that lost her mother in a car wreck, and she all I got, man. I mean, I want to change and I want to do better.
Where do all your children live?
One of them live with my mom, and the other one, 3 of them live with one of their moms, and the other 2 live with their moms.
2 different mothers, you're saying?
No, ma'am, 4 different mothers. One of them got killed in a car wreck though, like 6 months ago. My youngest daughter mother, she stayed with my mom.
Let me hear that. I'm gonna just sit back and listen to my colleagues and then hear what the folks who are on Zoom want to say. Y'all have any questions?
I just have one question. How would you describe your relationship with your probation officer and your parole officer?
Oh, I describe a good relationship. They pretty good relationship.
Pretty good. Why do you say that? You don't report every month, so I know they're not impressed with that.
Yes, sir.
What have you done to develop that relationship?
Like when I talked to Miss Ashley and told her that I was working, she told me to call in, sir, and that's what I was doing. For the last pay in 2023 and 22, I just didn't have a ride.
You do know that not having a ride is not an excuse not to report.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know I'm wrong. Yes, sir.
The condition parole say you will do the A, B, C, and D. It doesn't say if you have a ride, if you feel like it.
Yes, sir.
Those are like ordered.
Yes, sir.
How many times have you been on supervision before?
On parole, this is like my 2nd time. I had probation and parole, yes, sir.
How did that probation case end?
I had to go do time, and then I got on parole and I finished my parole, yes, sir.
So you finished it on parole?
Yes, sir.
2nd time on parole?
Yes, sir. I had 2 years, and I didn't violate my parole. I got out from Winfield and I completed my parole. I didn't violate.
All right, that's all the questions I had.
What's your relationship with Caddera Edwards then?
We was seeing each other, but I don't talk to her now because it was like a protection order. We was seeing each other, and I shouldn't have been around her in the first place because I wouldn't have been in this predicament. Like, I don't talk to her anymore, man.
So she's not the mother of any of your children?
Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
All right.
No, Mr. Morris, and to ask the questions I wanted out, I was just curious about you and your parole officer. What was it, since September, October, August, those months you didn't get in touch with her? And you're saying you are calling her?
Yes, sir.
She would verify that?
Yes, sir, she should. Yes, sir.
Sure. Okay. No more questions.
All right. Let me see. We have in the record, it states that at your preliminary hearing, you pled not guilty to the reporting, the reporting violation. And you, at that time, even you said you were given permission to not report by Agent Freeview.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
This was proven to be false by Agent Freeview. That's what it said in your preliminary hearing results.
Yes, ma'am. But I told the lady I was working for ASAP and I was going like we work out of town, and on Tuesdays we be gone out of town, and I was gonna call her, and she said that's okay, Jamerrick, you just call me. And most of the time I called her, she didn't answer. And when I did call,
I'm just saying, you already said
Yes,
all
ma'am.
that. The
Yes,
preliminary
ma'am.
hearing, she indicated that she did not give you permission to not report. I'm going to hear from the folks who are here on Zoom who would like to speak. And I guess this is Mr. Claiborne I can see on the screen. Mr. Claiborne, what would you like us to know, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. How you doing? Can you all hear me?
We can, just fine.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Jamerrick, I think he did not elaborate more according to my notes about the affidavit. Do you all have the affidavit?
I can't see it in the record.
Yes, ma'am. And I do have that affidavit that he gave to Mr. Patrick Rutherford, and also Mr. Patrick Rutherford came by here and I gave him a copy of this same affidavit, and he did give me confirmation that it was, sent to the parole board. But I like to be very clear, precise, and very accurate in my communication. If it's okay with you, if I don't know if I can email it to you all right now or send it to you.
Yeah, we can, what's an email? Parole board at la.gov.
Okay.
We'll include the record, parole board at la.gov.
It doesn't look that long. Maybe you could just read it to us right now.
Oh, yes, sir. It's an affidavit of Khadidra S. Edwards on behalf of Jamerrick J. Hogan. The Khadidra S. Edwards, being sworn, deposed, and states as follows under penalty of perjury. I am over the age of 18 and I suffer no legal disabilities and have personal knowledge of the facts set forth below. Line item number 2, I would like to be clear and accurate that the case that involves me with the above inmate, Jamerrick Hogan, okay, however, I have no desire to pursue any charges against Jamerrick J. Hogan, and I was under the influence of substance, and it was a very bad misunderstanding on the day of this event. Also, I do not have any desire to attend any court here. I, Khadidra S. Edwards, hereby swear and affirm that the information above is true, accurate, and complete to the best of my knowledge, and that no relevant information has been omitted. She signed it, witness signed it, and a notary notarized the statement.
Okay, Mr. Claiborne, if you could take a snapshot of that with your phone, you can text it to the phone number that you have for us.
Okay.
We'll print it and put it in the record.
Yes, ma'am. I will do that. And
yeah, while you're doing that, what else would you like us to know?
Yes, ma'am. Also, line item number 3, that Jamerrick Hogan, we will help him with employment for like 25 hours a week as of now. As a field marketer, okay, if he's released, that he will be going out, okay, helping us market and to obtain clients for the upcoming year, okay, here at BBA. And ma'am, what we do taxes, okay, but this is a very strong niche community, and the early bird catches the worm. So the ones who get to the individuals first, and that's what Jamerrick knows, a lot of individuals at places that we cannot touch, see, and feel. So that's where we'll use him at, and he'll be going along with Miss Hamilton, who will be driving, roughly 3 days a week, going to help retain clients.
Okay, good deal.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Miss Joyce there with you?
She's not. This might be her at the door. Hold on 1 second. No, there was a client. I'm sorry. No, she's out. She went to Walmart. Hello?
So I'm sorry, we had you on mute. That was a client that's
It
not
wasn't her.
Joyce?
She's still out at a Walmart run.
Okay. All right. Well, I can only imagine that she's going to be speaking in favor, but we have to move on. So we're going to ask Mr. Hogan, is there a statement he'd like to make before we vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Yes, man. I just want to be a man and take my responsibilities and say I like for what I'm guilty for, ma'am, I did messed up. And I don't want to put nobody else, put my responsibilities on nobody else. I'm saying, trying to feel like I didn't do wrong because I did do wrong, and surrounding myself by those type of individuals and people that I was doing that I was wrong, ma'am. And I would just want another chance with my kids and family, please.
Well, all right, Mr. Hogan, I hear what you're saying, and I've heard the affidavit read by Mr. Claiborne that Ms. Edwards prepared. However, it says that, you know, it doesn't say that you didn't do what you did. That's not how I read it. I think that, and you've been given chances before by your parole officer or the parole board, because we signed, you had previous violations, as I mentioned. In our discussion today, you did plead guilty to violating condition number 4. I also heard you say you shouldn't have been where you were. You actually, although it's not a violation, there was an admission that you violated the protective order because you were where you wasn't supposed to be around Miss Edwards. Anyway, based on all of that, your plea of guilt to violating condition number 4, my vote today is going to be to revoke your parole. Mr. Barra?
I'm also going to vote to deny your parole based on the same reasons. Revoke your parole based on the same reasons as Ms. Renata. That affidavit didn't say you didn't do it. It just said she doesn't want to pursue charges. And when you read the police report, it was pretty serious.
Mr. Chase?
I concur with my colleagues. I think my problem was with the you reporting to the parole officer. I think you need to take the attitude of following instructions.
All right, today, Mr. Hogan, your parole is being revoked. Now, Mr. Hogan, you will have the opportunity to reapply for another parole hearing, and we're going to send you some information to tell you how and when you can do that. Good luck to you. So that concludes our business in DeSoto. We're going to sign off at 10:54. Here it is. Look.
Going back to 7.
All right, good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're at East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues today on the panel seated to my left is Mr. Danny Byrod, to my right is Mr. Patrick Stubbs. Would the officer there at EBR please introduce yourself for the record?
Lieutenant Murphy, East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office.
All right, thank you, Lieutenant Murphy, for accommodating us this morning.
You're welcome.
We have Mr. Jackson before us.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Jackson, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your DOC number.
Good morning. My name is TREYSHON Jackson. DOC number is 610511.
All right, Mr. Jackson, we're here for a revocation decision. I want you to know that your wife, Miss Anika Jackson, we've been in communication with us this morning. She is at work. So she wanted to participate, on Zoom and give a statement, but since she's at work, she's not able to do that. So she sent it to us in writing.
Okay.
So she is watching.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Mr. Jackson, I'm going to read the allegations. First of all, do you have a revocation questionnaire in front of you? Is that your signature down at the
yes, ma'am.
Page that you
Yes, ma'am.
find? Okay. Based on that, you're not eligible for appointed counsel. So what I'll do is I'm going to read the allegations against you, ask you to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Byrod to start the interview because your case has been assigned to him.
Okay.
All right, you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 1, and it reads, you failed to report to probation and parole within 48 hours of your release to sign up for parole supervision. You were released on December 7, 2023. So how do you plead to violating condition number 1?
Guilty.
Then we have condition number 4, and it reads, you engaged in criminal conduct on February 6, 2024 in the commission of the offense second-degree battery, booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on this charge by Louisiana Probation and Parole on February 7, 2024. On March 25, 2024, you appeared in the East Baton Rouge Parish Court for arraignment for the charge, simple battery. The court was advised that you wish to withdraw your former plea of not guilty and plead guilty. So the court sentenced you to be confined in the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison for a period of 3 months. How do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Guilty.
All right, would you answer any questions Mr. Byrod may have for you?
I'm going to read a little bit of the report and then I'm going to ask you the question. This report is about what caused all the problems I think that you're having today. The subject reported to the Baton Rouge District Office on 2/6/24 for parole intake setup, dressed in an obscene manner with his pants below his waistline, and was asked multiple times to pick his pants up to his waistline. He responded in aggressive tones multiple times. This is how I wear my clothes. I questioned, am I going to jail today if I don't? It was explained to him that our office policy is professional place of business with females present, and he was directed to place his pants up to his waistline. Subject questioned again, am I in aggressive tone? Am I going to jail if I don't? He was then requested to have a seat in the lobby. And subject's uncooperative manner was reported to supervisors. Supervisor Mitchell advised he would speak to the subject. When Supervisor Mitchell made contact with the subject, he continued to be uncooperative about his dress. Subject was detained and informed that he would be placed in East Baton Rouge Prison on parole hold and brought to the parole hearing for noncompliance for following instructions of the parole officer. During the transport to East Baton Rouge Jail, subject made multiple threats in the presence of agents T. David and Agent D. Allen, stating he would go off once he got to the jail and that he is going to hit the first white boy he sees. After arrival at the East Baton Rouge Jail, while waiting in the booking area, subject began telling other inmates he would give them money for attacking white boys. While waiting to be seen by the booking deputy, an inmate later identified as Joshua Tate walked through the area where Jackson was seated. And once he got near the subject, Jackson struck Tate in the face, knocking him to the ground. At this time, the subject was pepper sprayed and the sheriff's deputy detained him. Subject was booked for second-degree battery charges. Can you explain that? What was going on right there? That's the problem that it seems like you dared the probation and parole officer to bring you to jail. And now you want us to let you go. Tell me what was going on there and why you think we should let you go after doing something like that.
Okay, I would take all accountability and all responsibility for any wrongdoing that I did do. But at the time I didn't have no belt. So my pants wasn't below my belt, my waist. It just was I didn't have no belt. So that was the argument what came up. I was trying to get him to understand that he was telling me to pick my pants. I'm telling him that I don't have no belt. So we did have a disagreement about that. I did get frustrated because they brought me to jail. I felt like it was wrongfully because I didn't do anything. I was doing everything right. I was trying to do everything right in the correct way. And I guess I did get frustrated. But then when I came in, I did make some allegations, and then me and somebody had an encounter. But that's because when I came in, I was already frustrated, and he had said a racial term. But I should have never put my hands on him. But that is what happened.
So you struck a guy that you never met before because he said something to you?
Yeah. When I came in, he was saying racial terms to me. He called me the N-word. I told the supervisor that when she came on interview.
Bunch of witnesses there, and nobody says that in the police report. They say he was just an innocent guy walking through the area that you had promised to punch the next guy that came through.
No, sir.
No, so that's wrong.
I was verbally upset and was talking crazy, but I didn't say I was gonna punch the first white person. And if I did, I probably just don't remember.
Okay. So you actually got lucky and got a reduced plea on that and pled guilty to simple battery and aggravated battery. I mean, second-degree battery.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I guess you answered. Can you tell me why you think after doing a violation like that, that we should release you back for another trial? Why, in your own words, why do you think it would be a good idea to let you back again?
I feel like that, sir, because I feel like if y'all give me another trial, y'all could give me anger management classes. Y'all can give me community service. I will prove that I would do anything for my freedom. I will prove it. I know I made a mistake. I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like this sit down has showed me why the mistake that I made it really would cost me my freedom, and I need to be more understanding with the choices that I make. But you could put me on anything. House monitor, I will show you that I deserve my freedom. That's what I understand.
I got you. Do you realize at this point that all you had to do was pick your pants up and hold them with your hand?
Yes,
and
sir.
You ever ended up where you are right now?
I beat myself about that for 3 months. I beat myself up about that.
I want to make sure you understood it. It would have been that simple. All right, that's all the questions I have.
Any questions?
How long have you been incarcerated?
So you talking about so far?
No, your entire career.
A long time, sir.
Where were you incarcerated at?
I've been incarcerated in East Baton Rouge, Ascension, West Baton Rouge, Callahoola, Riverbend, and I did the reentry program, Angola program with True to White.
How long did you stay in Angola?
2 years, sir.
2 years. It seems like you realize, it seems like you have an anger problem. And one of the things I've learned is the choices that we make are the choices we have to live with. And sometimes I know it's hard, but it's what you did was not good. And it seems like you have a little remorse about it, and that's good. What is it you think now that you could do differently?
Right. You talking about do differently in the past or do differently right now?
Now.
See, the thing what I was doing when I was on the street, I had got me a mental health doctor. Well, they got to see her 2 times. Where she was telling me, I was telling her that me being incarcerated over the years, but had affected my way of thinking. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like I have to be aggressive with everything I've done because the way I have to live, I adapt over the years from prison. Because the prison not helping me, making me better, it's making me worse.
How long were you out on parole?
I was only out 2 months. I came home, got married, and then I was about to go on my honeymoon, but I thought I was done with parole. I didn't know I was still on parole. Then they called me and said that I had to go sign up. I called my old parole officer. She said I was still on parole. That's the only reason why I didn't sign up. I didn't even think I was still on parole. This is my first time violating myself.
You never got any information that you should do once you got out?
See, they said I signed something, but I thought that was for my bond. Because I violated my parole, then I bonded out. So I thought that was for that. But because I didn't read it.
I got you. Of course.
You signed that certificate before you left, and then you said you just threw it away because you got a copy.
Yes, ma'am.
Finally got to the parole office after your family said you needed to check in. You said you threw it away.
Well, yeah, yes, ma'am. Because I thought that was everything I was signing. I thought that was just for like bond obligation. Because they said I had to go to Ascension for parole, and I don't have no charges in Ascension. So I was like, how am I on parole in Ascension? I don't even stay in Ascension. I thought it was a misunderstanding. So I just so happy to be home.
Pay close attention. So let me read the little note from your wife, just so you have it, so you know. She says, I am sending this email to let you know that my husband is a good person. He is a loving father, a hard worker for our family. We are newlyweds, and I would love for you to give him a chance to be here with his family. Belongs. With the support of me, our family, our weekly counselor, and loving church, we stand behind him. We know TREYSHON has a bright future and will do what he needs to be done to make this right. All I ask is that you let my husband free so he can prove to you that he's not the person some painting to be. Thank you so much, and I pray to God that you will have compassion and let my husband free. So, anything else you want to say to us before we vote?
I just want to tell y'all that I did mess up, but if y'all give me a chance, I will really make y'all proud.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Byron, you ready to vote?
Well, I'm sure it's going to come as no surprise to you that I'm going to vote to deny your parole, revoke you, because punching the innocent guy, the first guy that walked through the door, is inexcusable in my book. The arguments with the probation and parole officer, maybe we could get over that. But when you tell them you're going to punch the first guy you see, and then you do punch the first guy you see, that's serious. And that's the reason why you're going to get what you asked for. And that's your parole is the vote.
Mr. Tillis.
My vote is to revoke also. I think you need to get some more anger management. And I think you need to start thinking about what you do before you do it.
Mr. Jackson, it's unfortunate that you're in the situation you're in. I do concur with my colleagues. My vote today is to revoke, and I'm going to recommend that you be allowed to take an anger management class and a class that's called Thinking for Change. Have you ever had that, either of those classes?
Yes, ma'am. I had that before.
You did. Maybe you needed refresher room. I'm gonna put it on the thing to.
You know
You'll
what,
have the
can I
opportunity-
ask you for one thing?
Have the opportunity to reapply for parole, and we're gonna send you some instructions on how you can do that. But yeah, what's your question?
Can y'all let me know, send me for to see a mental health doctor so I could try to get
Vote on that.
part
I
of the
did
medicine,
see, I will make
medicine or
that,
something?
I will make that note because I do see on your parole revocation questionnaire, you did indicate a diagnosis. So yes, I will ask for that.
Okay.
Good luck to you, sir. That conclude our business in East Baton Rouge. We're gonna sign off in East Baton Rouge at 11:17. All right, good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're at Tinsall Parish. Today is Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. It's 11:28 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel this morning, thank you for that, sir, Mr. Viator. Is Mr. Danny Byra to my left, Mr. Chucky Tillis to my right. Would the staff member in the room in Tinsall please introduce yourself for the record?
Noah Viator.
You got anybody in the room with you there? We want the officer to introduce herself.
Yes, ma'am. Captain Williamson.
All right, Captain Williamson, thank you so much for accommodating us today. And so now, Mr. Viator, you introduce yourself. Tell us your name and DOC number.
Noah Viator, 766498.
All right, Mr. Viator. I'm going to read some information into the record. I ask you to verify that information. Then we'll have a parole interview with you. Your case has been assigned to me, so I'll take the lead on that. When we're done, after we have finished all of our questions, we'll ask Captain Williamson if there's any input from the facility. Before we vote, you'll be allowed to make a statement. Ready? All right. Mr. Noah Viator, you're classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 7-year sentence. You were sentenced in Vermilion Parish on February 7, 2022 for indecent behavior with a juvenile. You do have a parole eligibility date, which was May 23rd, 2023. You're not eligible to earn good time, so your full term date is May 20th, 2028. Does that information sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. So tell us, Mr. Viator, how old are you?
I am 23.
And how long have you been in jail on this 7-year sentence?
This will make exactly 3 years today.
Today, 3 years today. So you received, let's see, you received was it a 10-year sentence and it was all but 3 were suspended, then you got to do 3 years probation?
Yes, ma'am.
So whenever you're done with us, you still got to do 3 years probation with the court. And so at the time of this offense, you were 21?
I was 20.
20. And the victim was how old?
12, I think. I don't really know.
Your relationship to the victim was stepsister?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm showing that she was 11 and that this abuse started around age 8 or 9.
That's what she said.
That's what she said?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you say?
It didn't. I had a witness say the day. I don't know exactly everything on her detail part because I didn't get to read all that stuff. But I know the day she accused me of the stuff, which was in December of, I think it was like 20 or something like that. I had a witness with me, but I was trying to get my court-appointed lawyer to help me out, and she wouldn't do anything with me. But
you're saying there was a witness to the event?
Yes, ma'am. My brother was present whenever she tried to say I did things to her. And whenever I told my court-appointed lawyer that she didn't want to use that information, she said it wasn't valid. He wasn't a valid witness.
So you're saying this never happened?
Ma'am?
You're saying that the abuse never happened?
No, ma'am. I just did. I was fresh to the system. I've never been in trouble with the law, and I didn't know how things went. And I was scared because I was facing 25 to life originally, and I didn't have no defense whatsoever. And I just did. I tried to file for a new lawyer, but it didn't work out. I did a lawyer complaint form, whatever that is, but nothing was ever heard from it again. I even tried to get her to do a bond reduction. She told me it wasn't a good idea, that they could raise my bond. And I told her my bond was already $200,000. So there's no way I could afford it anyway. So if they raise my bond, it's like telling me no. But I went ahead and took the time because originally, whenever I did it, I asked my lawyer on the 7 years, I was like, is that flat time and can I get good time? She originally told me, no, it wasn't flat time and I could get good time on it. And the judge told me the same thing. I just, whenever a lot of people tell me that if I try to bring it back to trial or nothing, they could do worse or something like that. So I just left it as it is.
Yeah, well, time calculation is a very complicated matter that the DOC does the time calculation. So, you know, I can understand how the lawyer may have thought you received good time, but you don't. So let's talk about, you've been in jail almost 3 years today. What have you been able to do, take advantage of since you've been in jail?
I left Caldwell to go to BDCC, which I took the little sex offender treatment program, which consists of the risk management, the anger management, and the empathy and awareness. And then I was able to take thinking for a change over there as well. And then I got shipped here and I haven't been able to get in any other courses.
So
I was previously in Caldwell. Ma'am?
You completed the thinking for change?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I didn't see that in the record. I do saw where you, my note says you claim to have completed thinking for change, but the record doesn't indicate that you actually completed it. So that's good that you did, that you were able to do it.
I do have the certification with me here.
Okay, good. Maybe they can fax it over to us.
Once
I don't
it's currently in my property, but once I get it, I can try
just give it to them and maybe they'll send it over to us. That would be helpful. Can include in the record. So what is your relationship with Miley?
That's my stepsister.
Now.
Huh?
Now. What is the relationship now?
I don't even really talk to her at all.
What about the rest of your family?
I talk to my dad, my mom, and three of my brothers.
So your Miley's mother is still married to your father?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, whenever you're released, you're going to have some challenges before you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm aware of that.
So tell me, what if you were released early, what would be your transition plan? Where would you live?
My mom has a place for me out on the outskirts of Lake Charles. I have a job lined up for me as soon as I get home, working for a company called Nash Fence out of Grand Lake. I have transportation. My mom has a truck waiting for me. Also, while I was down, I joined Ashland College, and I was told that I could do that when I get home as well, which I plan on doing that. All I gotta do is go to the facility, and they'll give me a computer with all the books. And I was taking my bachelor's in business association and business management.
Good for you. That's good.
And
why do you think you have opposition to early release? There was no comment made by the sheriff's office or the chief of police. Well, the chief of police is unopposed. The district attorney's office is opposed to an early release. Why do you think we ought to consider you for early release?
Well, previously, I've never been in trouble with the law before. And I just want a second chance at life. I believe in second chances, and I just want to be able to prove to society that I can do better with my life and change it for the good. I want to get out there to be able to help my mom. She's struggling right now. She is currently trying to get disability. She has no income. She lost her dad, which was my grandpa, and my grandma. I think currently my grandma's staying with my mom. I'm not too sure. I haven't been able to talk to him in a little minute, but I plan on calling him today. I'm just really wanting to get out there to support them. That's my main concern, really.
Did your mother know you were coming up for parole today?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she work?
She can't work. She's disabled. She has a slip disc and bulging disc in her back.
All right, Captain, any questions?
Yeah, in the beginning of the investigation, you denied that you committed the crime to the police, and then you later pled guilty to it.
Yes, sir.
Did you commit the crime?
No, sir. They
So
have
you-
no evidence on me whatsoever. I just couldn't, I don't trust in people enough to be able to put my life in the hands of a jury, especially with my surroundings. As soon as I came to jail, everybody, they just heard the charge and instantly said I was guilty, and it just scared me to be able to try to take that charge, especially since I'm new to the system. I don't know how it all goes and all that.
So you're telling me you never touched her, fondled her, or had sex with her? Nothing.
I did when I was younger, but the rape charge thing, I never did that. But I never touched her like, I touched her leg. That's in the record. When I was like, I think I was like 16 or 15. But once I moved out, I had no real contact with her at all.
All the questions I had. I see that in the record, it states this happened between she was 8 and 11. And she said that you entered her, and you're saying you didn't do that?
No, sir.
Okay. Were you dating anybody at the time? This was.
Yes, sir.
You were? You had a girlfriend?
Yes, sir.
And why do you think she came up with this? What's going on?
I really believe it was like an attention thing, because at school, I tried to bring this up to my lawyer as well. I found out later on during my sentencing, she actually had some issues at school. She had it might actually be in the school system records, I don't know. But she had some issues with a friend of hers. They liked the same boy. And the boy liked Miley's friends instead of her, and she went to like her friends and all that and told everybody that the girl was having relations with other dudes and all that, just so the dude wouldn't like her. And she had to move schools from Gaydon to Lake Arthur because of that reason. I'm not trying to make her sound like a bad person, because sometimes she's not like that, but she's always been given whatever she wants. And when my dad stopped working, that all changed. She wasn't able to, she used to go to Disney on Ice and Disneyland. She used to be the center of attention all the time, get whatever she wants. And like I said, whenever my dad stopped working, all that changed. She started getting punished and things of that nature.
I see. You said your brother was there with you. How old is your brother? The one that you said could verify.
At the time or now?
At the time.
At the time, I do believe he was like 15 or 14.
He didn't have any problems with her, did he?
Problems with what?
His sister, his stepsister.
I don't know. I never really got into that with him.
Okay. I have no questions.
All right, Captain Williamson, is there anything you can add for Mr. Viator?
No, ma'am. It's nothing that I can add, because I don't really see him.
Okay.
Listen, I'm going in the dorm counting, and it's 80 something in there, and they just good morning, Captain Williamson, and I'm good morning, and I'm out. So he's not one that I interact with. He's not one that I have problems with. If it's a problem, yes, I would know him. If he was a trustee, I would know him.
Right. So it's a good thing in his favor that you don't know him, because otherwise he'd be a troublemaker.
He'd be a troublemaker, right?
Okay. All right. Anything you want to say to us, Mr. Viator, before we vote?
I just ask y'all to be kind and merciful and allow me a second chance. That's all I can really hope for.
And you're at TENSA. Are there any program opportunities there for you?
I don't think there are there, Cap?
No, it's not.
No, I'm currently, if this goes wrong, I want to try to get the OCC. They have like mechanical courses, electrical courses, welding courses, and they also have the Ashland College over there. I want to be able to attend those courses if with my remainder time, but it's somewhat difficult to get myself.
Classes.
Ma'am?
You're looking for some vocational skills training and to be
Yes,
able
ma'am.
to Ashland.
Yes, ma'am.
OCC is Washington.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I think panel's prepared to vote, and I'll be voting first, Mr. Viator. You know, the information in the record is kind of overwhelming. I understand what you're saying. But there has been opposition expressed. I'm pleased that you were able to take the sex offender treatment. You pled guilty. You know, if you didn't do anything, pleading guilty was not the thing to do. My vote today is going to be to deny you parole based on the age of the victim and the opposition that's been expressed. Mr. Byron?
I would vote exactly the same way with the same reasons.
Mr. Tillis?
I agree with you, Mr. Noor. You probably need to get some more classes and training, and I think that's a good idea. And I hope that you do that, so when you do get out, you can put your life back together. My vote's to deny also.
Mr. Viator, today your parole's been denied. So I'll make note that you're requesting to be have the opportunity for vocational skills training and to continue the Ashland courses. You will have the opportunity to reapply for another parole hearing. We're going to send you some information on how and when you can do that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Good luck to you, sir. Captain Williamson, that concludes our business at TENSA Parish. We're going to sign off at 11:45. Thanks for helping us.
Thank you.
All right, the Committee on Parole is reconvening on Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. We're now at the CADDO Correctional Center. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel this morning, seated to my left, Mr. Danny Byra, to my right is Mr. Chucky Tillis. Would the staff there at CADDO please introduce yourself for the record?
Latasha Richardson, classification.
Rick Ferris.
All right, thank y'all for accommodating us this morning. Well, this afternoon, well, yeah, still morning. Mr. Ivory, good morning.
Good morning.
Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Christopher Ivory, DOC number 616744.
All right, thank you, sir. And we have joining us by telephone your mother, Miss Luana Ivory. We'll be calling on her at the appropriate time for her remarks. We're here for a revocation decision. First, I will read the allegations against you, after which you should enter a plea of guilty or not guilty to each one. And then once we're finished with that process, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tillis. Your case has been assigned to him. He'll be asking you some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, then we'll hear from your mom. So you're accused of, first, do you have a revocation questionnaire there with you in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
That's your signature at the bottom of that page.
Yes, ma'am.
So based on the information in that form, you're not eligible for appointed counsel this morning. So are you ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
You're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 2. You failed to report for the months of August, September, October, November, and December 2023. Additionally, you failed to report on February 14th, 2023, as directed on February 14th, 2023. How do you plead to violating condition number 2?
Guilty.
Then we have condition number 3, well, multiple number 3s, but the first one is you were located outside of the state of Louisiana in Utah, where you were without permission or knowledge of the parole office. How do you plead to violating that instance of condition number 3?
Guilty.
And then number 3 again, you relocated from your listed residence at 3500 Milam, number W303, on or about July 10, 2023, without prior permission or approval from the parole office. How do you plead to that instance of number 3?
Not guilty.
Okay. And then next one, you relocated from your listed residence at 541 East Stoner, number 393, to 3500 Milam, on or about May 16, 2023, without permission or approval from the parole office. How do you plead to that instance of number 3?
Not guilty.
For 3 again, it says you relocated from your listed residence at 3627 Frederick to 541 East Stoner on or about March 20, 2023, without prior permission or approval from the parole office. How do you plead to that one?
Not guilty.
Okay. Then we have condition number 6, which says you failed to provide proof of employment to the parole office. How do you plead to violating number 6?
Not guilty.
Number 8, you rendered random urine drug screening or referral to a treatment center impossible by absconding supervision. How do you plead to violating number 8?
Not guilty.
And the last one is condition number 9. It reads, you rendered field contacts impossible by absconding supervision, being arrested outside the state in Utah. How do you plead to violating number 9?
You say I completed what? I didn't.
Yeah, let me read it again.
Yes, ma'am.
You made field contacts by your parole officer impossible by absconding supervision as evidenced by your arrest outside the state of Louisiana in Utah. How do you plead to that? Would you say?
Guilty.
Guilty. All right. Would you answer any questions, Mr. Tillis?
Good morning. How are you?
No, all right.
How long have you been on parole?
Since February the 3rd, 2023.
2023?
Yes, sir. Well, I got out of jail. I got out of prison on February the 3rd, 2023 at 12:01.
Oh, did anyone give you any instructions on what you had to do with your parole officer?
When I went, well, I got out Friday at 12:01. That Monday morning, I went straight to report. My officer went there. They fingerprinted me and they gave me a card with her number. And I called her, but never got an answer. But it was on me because I never shot her a text, and I just waited on her to call me. And when she called me, she reported to my grandmother's house, which is, I called her like the day before I went to go stay with over my lady friend house, and she asked me where I was, and I told her, and she wanted me to come and report the next day with the address, so I did that.
You gave it to her?
Yes, sir.
Were you using drugs? Are you using drugs?
No, sir.
You never used drugs?
No, sir. That was my past. I used drugs, but ever since I had went to jail off this charge here and came back home, I didn't use any drugs, alcohol. I just wanted to work and take care of my family.
It seemed that though I read your report, I read it twice, and it seemed like your parole officer had a very difficult time trying to get in touch with you. And in the record states that you had several different addresses that you gave.
Yes, sir.
Is that a reason for that?
Yeah. When she made contact with me at 541 East Stoneham, she told me that that I wasn't like parole officers and convicted felons was supposed to be around the area. So I was like, well, she making me change my address, but I still live with my grandmother at 3627 Frederick Street. But I gave her the address to let her know, like, if I ain't at home, then I might just be over here just visiting, you know.
She made you change your address?
Yeah, she made me put the address on the paperwork when I went down there to report to her the next following day. And then me and my lady friend started having altercations. So before anything escalated, I left and went back home to 3627 Frederick Street. But I never told Miss Combs that.
So you did receive some instructions on what you should do and what you should not do?
I got a package when I went to the parole board, but I never did sit down and look at the package. Only thing she was telling me about, because I had an aggravated charge, she said she was just giving me, like, it wasn't no way that I was going to get off parole early.
Okay. What happened? Why did you leave the state?
Well, I had a job offer and I wanted to take it because I was working at home. Like, I was working 2 jobs at home and I was always tired and wasn't making enough money. So I took the job in the oil field at Cyclone Drilling, and I knew some guys that worked there and they had passes to work. And me and Miss Cone and the supervisor talked about it, and it went from there.
You talked to your parole officer about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's what amazed me. She was stating that it was very difficult and she didn't know you were out of state. And then what's getting me is that, and I guess sometimes we all do it, you get a package and you don't go through it. And I think if I had made parole, I'd probably do everything I can to stay in touch with my parole officer and do that.
Well, while I was out in the field and I was out there, I tried to call her and get in touch with her, but it just wasn't working. I guess she was so fed up with me by me going to 2 different addresses and stuff like that. So
How often would you call her when you were out of town?
um probably like a handful. That's it.
5 times in 4 months. 4 months. August, September, October, November,
And
December, 5 months plus. Once a month. You were calling her once a month. Is that what you're saying?
probably I called probably like twice and I just used to let it like ride or something like that. And then try again sometime later on down the line.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Sarah?
Looking at your record, you failed to report 6 out of the 11 months that you were on supervision. You moved 4 times without permission. Absconded supervision in August of 2023. You failed to provide a valid address, did not report for any drug screen, and you were arrested in Utah that you admitted to that. You had to know that going to Utah without permission of the parole officer, whether you read your package or not, was a violation. What do you say? So tell me, you know, why you think we should give you another chance? Because it looks like you just threw your first chance out the window and, you know, I'm gonna call, I might call, I did call, I didn't. The parole certificate tells you that you're gonna report. It doesn't say I'm gonna call or I'm gonna text. The back of your certificate says I will report to the parole officer when directed to do so once a month. So you didn't do that. And that's one of the basic things. Good thing is you didn't get arrested for any new charges. That's a good thing. But tell me why, in your own words, if we give you another shot, what you're gonna do different and why you think you need to do something different. Because you can't do what you did right here and you can't just call and let it ride like you said. Because let it ride turns into warrant every time. So tell me why you think you deserve another chance after all of that.
Well, first of all, I wasn't engaging in any criminal activity. Me and Miss Cone talked about drug screen and I went to her office, but she told me she was gonna get my urine at home before everything started going down. And if y'all give me another chance, make sure I stay in contact with my parole officer. Don't leave the state. Make sure she know where I stayed every night. Make sure she know where I work. Pay my supervision fees and stay out of trouble. And not do any type of illegal activity or drugs or anything.
Is this the first time that you've been on parole?
No, sir.
How did your last parole?
It went well all the way up until the end. Cause I was doing drugs the last time I was on parole. And I had financial problems. So I had stopped reporting. And for like my last few months, I think it was like 3 months or something. And she came to the house, the same address, 3627 Frederick Street, and came and picked me up from there. And I did the remainder of my sentence here at CADDO.
You realize what you just said, what messed up the first one? You stopped reporting.
Yes, sir.
That's what happened. And you realize that your parole officer is not there to get you. You know, if you go into the parole office and you walk in and you say, Ms. Cone, I got a drug problem and I need some help and I want some help, you're not going to end up in jail for that. You're going to end up in treatment. She's going to get you help. The parole officer is there to help you. You know, you don't need to be worried about, you know, going in there and being truthful. They're going to help you. They're going to help you to take care of whatever the problems you have.
Yes, sir.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So let me ask you this. How would you describe the relationship you and your Ms. Cone, the parole officer, had?
It was okay before I just took it upon myself to leave and go and work.
Yeah, well, I'm reading some of the notes that were in here. It seems as though you were not very respectful at times when you were speaking with her. You were yelling at her, hollering at her on the phone and things like that. Would you disagree with any of that?
Yes, ma'am, I disagree.
Okay, so let's see. This had to do with, and did you ever lie to her?
No, ma'am. I tried to be so truthful with her, but she always thought that I was lying to her about any situation or anything I tried to be honest with her about because the address changes, I guess. Or when she called me, I wasn't never available at home. I answer her phone call if I'm at work and tell her I'm at work. And she was probably just thinking I was just a liar. Because at the time I had 2 jobs.
Listen,
I
this
didn't.
is not the first entry, but this is one entry of you being disrespectful. I'll say it that way. Uh-oh, did we lose them?
I'm still here.
Yeah, your camera, for some reason your camera went off, but I'm going to continue. There you go. Okay, telephone contact from Ivory, wanted to take a job out of state. You did say you spoke about that. Working 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. I told him he couldn't do that. He could not be supervised out of state. He got angry and started hollering that I was trying to hold him back and he was trying to better himself. I tried to explain there were plenty of jobs in town. We could assist him with that. He didn't want to hear that. Continued to talk loudly. I told him he was not going to holler at me or I'd hang up. He said, okay, and then hung up. And there's multiple, the next day, similar thing happened and so forth. And, you just can't treat your parole officer who's really trying to help you in that way. So I don't have any other questions. We're going to ask your mother. Miss Ivory, what would you like to say to us about your son?
Well, I had, first of all, how everyone is doing.
Good.
And I went to the office and I have spoke with Ms. Cone personally myself. And she kind of got a little bit loud with me because I guess she didn't know exactly who I was. Then I let her know exactly who I were. And she kind of lowered her voice. And we pretty much spoke respectable to each other and very professional with each other. And like I told her, I say Christopher went. I say he asked you and your supervisor, could he work out of state? He asked for a pass, and she disregarded due to his conviction.
Mm-hmm.
And I understood that. So I agree with her on that. So I just say, well, we'll just go through the process and see what's what. So if he gets a second chance, I'm pretty sure he would do everything the right way.
Okay, well, thank you so much for calling in this morning. I'm sorry we couldn't get you on the Zoom, but the telephone seemed to work just fine.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Christopher, what would you like to, is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
If y'all give me another chance, I'll make everything right. I'll listen to my officer. I wouldn't have nothing to say smart, or if she asks me anything, I'll answer her in a respectful manner and order, and just stay out of trouble and do as everybody say do, and take care of my grandparents and be there for my kids and my mom and my dad.
All right, sir, I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Tillis?
Like to go into executive.
We have a motion for executive session, second by Mr. Barra. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Barrow?
Yeah.
Phyllis?
Chuck, yes.
Mr. Ivory, we're going to be in executive session for just a few moments to discuss confidential matters. Just stand by. We'll be right back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Ivory, we're back in regular session. It's 12 minutes after 12 o'clock. We're prepared to vote. Mr. Tillis will vote first.
Mr. Ivy, I think, at this time, I think you need to get some anger management classes. And I would strongly suggest get with your parole officer and get another copy of the do's and don'ts. So that if you ever come up again, you can, you'll know what's happening and stay in touch with her. She's to help you, not hurt you. My vote is to revoke.
Mr. Ibarra,
I'm going to concur with Mr. Tillis on the revocation.
my vote, is also to revoke. I find that you have violated the conditions of your parole. So today, sir, your parole is being revoked. You will have an opportunity to reapply for another parole hearing. Take Mr. Tillis's advice if you can get enrolled, and I know they have classes there. Enroll in some anger management classes if you can, and whatever else may be available to you. We'll send you some information on how you can reapply for another parole hearing.
Yes, ma'am. And can I, if I don't, can I be eligible for work release and more programs?
That's not up to us. That's up to the DOC, but we'll let them know you expressed an interest in that.
Okay.
Okay, we'd like to. That concludes our business today. We're going to adjourn. It's 12:14. Thanks to the folks at CADDO for accommodating us.